Moving on to the agenda. Oh, first of all, I'd just like to say welcome to our newest member, Michael.
Hello.
Councillor Martin.
Hello.
Welcome to the meeting. It won't be too bad, I promise you.
Never guarantee
Right.
that.
Apologies for absence.
Just do you want one?
Joe. Okay. Are there any declarations of interest for any items on tonight's agenda? No? Mayor's announcements. I haven't got any announcements, but I believe that, where is he? Oh, you're there, right. That Alan would like to say thank you to someone and put it under Mayor's announcements before Alan. Okay?
Just a big thank you to James Harper for loaning the lads and having the lads involved from Stanley Town Council, the gardeners. We had Crotchgate School at 10 for the Big Bull plant in our area, and it went down really, really well. It was thoroughly enjoyed by everybody, you know, so it's nice to see a bit of community input and nice to see the lads in action as well.
Thank you, Alan. I'll pass it on to the next. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Right, Alan?
I'll just give everybody a quick update on where we are at the Civic Hall, what we have done in the last month. The events have been progressing well at the Civic Hall. I mean, during the last month we've had the Bloom and Good Full Awards, or the Harvest, as I like to refer to them. We had the MMA, which was very, very busy night, but very well received by everybody that in attendance and the organisers. Stanley Learning Partnership had a sold-out Christmas show the other night. We've had a dance show, Southmore Group, musical theatre groups like two casino nights. We've had Blood Donors there. We've had the Art Project as well, which has been well received by the people that's come to see it. We had the DLI veterans the other night. They were all getting, it was really, really nice to get them along. Upcoming events between now and sort of in the Civic Hall, we've got a little bit elfish, Stanley Stars. They're rehearsing today. That kicks off tomorrow into the weekend. We've got a dance competition on Saturday, that's the Panto. Oh yes it is.
No, it's not.
So if you haven't got your tickets, get them on the way out, that's all I'm saying. Looking at 2022, we've already got things booked into 2022. Timeless Theatre's got a show booked in. We've got a classical music event on. We're really classing it up in 2022. The lady that, if anybody's at the Bloom and Good Fun Awards, was the lady there doing some music in the interval. She's there, she wants to do a bit of a show, that's going to be on. We've got a gospel choir, we've got some dance shows, we've got our fight nights, West Fagan, Northwood Gym and the MMA's booked in as well. So basically things are moving on the Civic Hall, we're starting to get things in, we're starting to get some of these events put out. Outdoor wise, obviously we had the Remembrance Sunday and Beacon events and upcoming events. I think the main thing for people in day is 4th of December, we've got a tree light switch on. I was talking to Scott yesterday, it's coming along really, really well. We've got the Panto cast going to be there, Craghead Band, we've got some of the school choirs that are going to be turning up, some of the singers that were there last year, bit of a fun fair. Should be a nice little event in the town on there. The 4th of December, kicking off at 4 o'clock. On the 14th of December, Panto starts. I might have mentioned that before, but I didn't. It starts off with a couple of 2 days worth of school shows, and then it goes into the full run from the weekend. And the 19th of December, I've been asked to mention, we've been invited to the community carol service at St Andrew's Church. So everybody's invited along. We aren't having a town mayor's carol service this year because normally we have it in the Civic Hall. So the Church of St Andrews have kindly invited us along to their service. We'll probably give them a little bit of support on the event, and part of that they've asked us to invite basically extend the invitation to all the council and all the community as well. So 4 o'clock on Sunday the 19th of December, St Andrews Church. If anybody likes, let us know, we'll pass it on that you're coming. And that's it from me, we're right at the minute.
Okay, thank you very much.
Been busy.
You have come here?
We are, not just me.
See yourself coming back, Alan. Right, moving on then. No comment on that one? Anyone want to ask anything? No? Okay. We'll move on to the leader's statement. An update of current business by the Leadership Council.
Evening, everyone. November has continued to be a very busy month, and work really has been focused on the budget and the website and the pantomime, can you believe? We've also undertaken a recruitment process, and a report from the recruitment panel has just been tabled and will be presented tonight for a decision by full council. Moving on to the budget side of things, just a quick update. All of us who were able to attended the budget workshop, where we had a really good collaborative evening identifying the priorities for the council. And this joint work has led us to being able to start to develop our medium-term plan for the council, something we all agree on, and it sets the direction of travel for the council. And this work that we undertook then has also allowed us to develop our budget, and we have a report tonight facilitated by the interim town clerk, which again will be considered by full council. At that budget workshop, our interim town clerk identified a number of issues with the Stanley Town Council website, which on further investigation threw up a need for urgent action. And these issues were about accessibility, security and functionality stroke design of our website. We have been able to attend to these issues swiftly, and we now have a plan in place, which is firstly to refresh the current site, which was 9 years old and hadn't had anything done for 6, and was desperately in need of an update. And then at a later date, we are thinking about having a new site developed, as this is our main means of communicating with our residents. Obviously, we do use other methods for people who don't have access to IT. At the end of the meeting, we will have the site up on the big screen for people to have a look at the new design, and work is still ongoing with regards to the content. With recruitment, we interviewed for the position of Stanley Town Clerk on the 19th of November, and a report has been tabled in Part B for discussion and decision, as I've previously said. And finally, I want to end on a note that is very similar to what Alan's just been saying, which is the pantomime. The tickets are selling really, really well, but I would just urge anyone here at the meeting tonight who doesn't have theirs, or their friends and family don't have theirs, please see Alan Tuppen, our panto guru. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you. Right, moving on now, come to the public participation. There are no members of the public present, but do we have any questions from members of the public? Okay. And, right. Moving on to item 6, confirmation of minutes. Attachment A. To approve the records of the ordinary meeting of the 26th of October 2021. Do we have a proposer?
I propose we accept them.
You propose, Alex? Have we got a second of that?
I'll second them.
And Carol second them. Agreed?
Agreed.
Any abstentions? Anybody not agree? Okay, thank you. And the receipt of committee minutes, to receive the minutes from the Finance and General Purposes Committee from the 12th of October 2021. I've got a
I'll propose we
proposer for
accept
that.
them.
You proposing that?
Yep.
Gordon?
I'll second
You
it.
seconded, right. Thank you. Accounts for payment and bank reconciliation. There's 2 lots here, attachment CD 3. Attachment CD and E, can we take them all together? That is that we note.
I propose we take them together,
Yeah.
and I propose that we note the bank reconciliations and we approve the payment of accounts for September.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second that.
And I'll export that. Right. Well, that was dealt with nice and quickly. No matters are anything from that one. Moving on to item 9 now. Councillor vacancy. The council is to note the election of Councillor Michael Martin in the Manor Ward and the cost to the town council of the last by-election. Is this yours, Anne?
Yes, I have. After the meeting, Councillor Tully asked for details of what we paid in the past for the by-elections. So just running through the last 3 elections, we had one in January 2018 at a cost of 10,900. I don't know what ward that was. July 18 was Craghead by-election at a cost of 6,497, and the Van Award in November 2019 at a cost of 6,082.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, I said hello to one.
No, all right, just get away, doesn't realise gives will be up down there.
I did say welcome to him when he came.
All right.
All right. Now, Stanley Master Plan, item 10. This is Cathy Russell and Graham Wood from Down Kent Council. Cathy's from Ryder Architects. It's on the screen and I'm going to move because there's no point in you. I'll just go that way.
If this works, I might just retire now, get out on top.
Yeah, okay.
Go on a high.
Is the screensaver on the projector rather
is.
than the computer?
Yeah. So it's the projector button. Yeah. There. It's on the screen. It's doing something.
Oh no. It's not on. Turn it off and turn it off.
No, I pushed it.
It's maybe do another master plan.
Something's moving.
It's turning on.
Hey, it's on my computer, I'm a wheel of a time, mate. Honestly, you should be watching this at top stuff. What day, right, definitely.
That's normally just the ITs. Turn it off and turn it back on. No, turn on.
I might just need to put the screen on the desk and shout.
Can you hear me now? Need the outlook with a torch like it used to be in the auditorium.
Should have.
Get me. Get me. Russian, right?
No. It was worse as IT.
It's all Alan's fault.
Don't know why they couldn't just have come. Pete's gonna come.
He's behind you. Pete, to the left.
We did try it out this afternoon, it worked perfectly.
No.
Alan's broken.
No, I've been nowhere near it, to be fair.
Oh, the red light's turned green.
Do we have
There's a green light on there now.
It was red. Please you.
No, I think we're all
Stop
getting a little
flashing.
bit click happy and turn it on and off and on and off. Here we go. Well, there's something happening. It's on, Pete, the way it was before. I think it was Nicola that wrote it myself.
Technical guru.
Oh, something happened there. Alan, trust you to have to be on there. Look at you.
See, it's a good job I tell Pete you have to get on the text box there. I just like a I've got a clue what button he pressed.
Don't you press anything.
Thank you.
Anne's fault. It's Anne's fault this time.
Oh, man. Oh,
Get Pete.
run downstairs and get
Blue
Pete.
screen of death.
Sorry, it's gone off again.
We're only a little bit.
You shouldn't have touched anything. It should have been left alone. Even if they couldn't have seen us, we could see
We're
them.
going for the record of like longest council meeting in history.
We'll still be here tomorrow trying to have this item.
You can see the headlines.
Yeah. Slap my hands, please. I have very technical things.
Fancy getting the last one. Something beginning to pay. You say that? Might be true.
Said he was going to be present in this, but I thought that was quite
See this? This is why they should have seen
I think we can agree that now. That this needs to. I think what we need is a IT review. You want to know of all the kit. Oh, something happened here.
Some kind of big discussion about the maths again.
Right, this could be it again.
Have we got it? Kids have got to do it for Tanfield Academy.
Oh, where'd they go now? Hey!
No, and don't touch.
Alan's not on at this time.
Really? Where? Up right?
Rather than take a risk with making a
It's,
full screen site,
Stuart.
I think we'll leave it as it is.
Yeah.
Not for a while.
Only a laptop.
Oh, dear, there he is. Well, then here what you know.
One of your laptops down and one up. Probably play it through that app, will that be louder? Turn up and down.
Turn your volume up
Me?
Yeah.
all the way.
Switch that one on.
Don't let Anne touch it. Check on.
What made turn on?
I have to pick yours in.
That's a fun noise.
Just turn the sound up on that mute.
Hi, Nicola.
Over there, yeah.
Now try to turn
James, but you never thought you would be on the big screen.
Just me. Back on there now. Could be the way the projector's set up.
Run, Pete, run.
Oh, something's happening.
Oh, it's signal searching.
Come on. That's not helpful.
On file.
Oh, we have volume.
Volume 63, we're going to get plastic. Volume 63, we're going to get plastic.
Everybody should have joined on Teams, shouldn't they?
Yes, we should have just joined on Teams.
Should have got your own computer and we have our little screen.
We've all got our computer as well. Oh, well, because you haven't got one yet, have you? You haven't got an email address because I looked at that. Now, if they just come to the meeting.
If we're having problems, can I suggest, would members be agreeable if we could set up a Teams meeting where everyone could log in? Is that feasible? Is anybody disadvantaged with that? I'm just trying to think of a backup plan.
Some of us in here anyway, we've seen it because we're familiar with it, so we've been members of the group. But,
me and you could watch on your
Just at least gives
there.
the teams have
And then-
the opportunity to ask some questions
Yeah.
rather
You
than
know,
sharing information.
there's at least one in each table.
I think under the circumstances, it can't get it.
We'll give it one more try and see.
Oops, swapping again.
I mean, I've asked them to send us some info, so maybe we can circulate that round, everybody have a look, and then we'll get sent a meeting people in.
Yeah.
Because the last full meeting was via Teams anyway. It was a Teams meeting. Can you just apologise, Alan, please?
Leave what I,
Thank you.
I'll just step on say.
We're trying one last
I'll
time.
move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Next one.
I think we should.
I'll sort this out, folks.
Yeah.
How do you work it?
Please tell me you haven't got a PowerPoint that you want to put on.
I was bored of
Thank goodness for that.
What we've been waiting for. Number 11, you're on number 11.
So just about.
I can listen to both. At least no one walked out. It's no one can do it.
Sorry, Roger, I was just thinking, to make progress, it's unfair on those as well, but I think if we're going to get somebody ready to guarantee it, and I'm sure we'll be happy to do that, or any members that will probably do a recording of it, so anybody could go back and look at those questions before, so we'll address that.
Okay, right. We're now moving on to the Civic Hall heating, which we have a report by Steve up there, which, do you want to come up here, or are you going to? Thanks.
It's not a report. So, yeah, it was just basically conversations with, actually it started off with, I think it was James, you know, quite some time ago. So I should say, yeah, I'm from the low carbon team at Durham County Council. We work, you know, we work to obviously reduce emissions from the council estate, and obviously we've got an obligation to try and reduce emissions right across the county in line with our climate change targets. So, yeah, this conversation started with James a little while ago about the heating system in the building, and then sort of continued on with Alan when sort of approaches about the Engenera proposal for solar PV panels. And, you know, apologies, but we had to sort of, you asking basically for landlord's approval, and sort of apologies, but we had to say no, because it was a really, really bad deal for you. And a really, really bad deal. It was the proposal itself. Yeah, solar PV on the roof, great, no problem at all with that. But it would have committed you to 25 years of paying excessive electricity bills to that company. So currently you'll be paying around about 15 pence per kilowatt for your electricity costs. And Genera wanted you to pay 20 pence per kilowatt for anything that was generated from that system. So that's 5 cents extra. For 25 years, which is the power purchase agreement rate, and it was quite puzzling, you know, and the size of the system as well was really, really significant, and a lot more than what you actually needed this build on the building. So yeah, it was sort of concern, you know, obviously from our side, we're not getting a good deal there. I think what we need to do for this building is go back to basics and have a think and get a report done on what you actually need, what this building needs going forward. Because obviously I know the heating system is not, I haven't been down to see it yet. Alan promised me a tour of the boiler house. You know, so I've been told that it's not great, that it needs looked at, it needs renewal. What we've been doing is putting in lots of applications for what's called the Public Sector Decarbonisation Fund, and I think Alan was trying to get one in for this building as well. Now, these have been a bit of an ad hoc type of, not being political here, but the approach is very short-lived. So there's been 3 rounds thus far. The 3rd round closed on the 3rd of November. All public sector bodies can apply for that funding. So the NHS, I think universities can apply, schools can apply. There is a limited budget. We didn't know what that budget was for round 3. We were told that it opened in October. We got notification that it was going to open in September, so you had about a month to prepare, month, 2 months. We sort of thought that it was going to open in around this time to coincide with COP. You know, so the long and short of it being, yes, we managed to get some consultants, and they did some surveys at some of our buildings, and we managed to get around about 6 applications in across our corporate estate, and obviously our corporate estate is huge. So that sort of, we don't know whether or not we're going to be successful. We don't know. We won't find out until next year, in around about February. But what we will have is around 4, so I'm led to believe, And so if there is going to be around 4, now is the time to prepare that bid. And so the key thing that we did, as I said before, is getting some consultants in to come in and do what we term a decarbonisation report. What it would take to sort of decarbonise the building. That would basically include, what the costs would be, and there's key elements within that fund. Part of that is the boiler on the last legs, from what Alan's said, basically is. So that's a big tick. And you then have to go for a low carbon heating solution. So they won't fund a like-for-like replacement, they won't fund a gas boiler for a gas boiler. It have to be a air source heat pump or ground source heat pump. Now that doesn't mean to say you necessarily have to get rid of all the gas, because this is what we've been finding out in some of the reports that are coming back to us. We're doing what's called a hybrid solution, which basically means that in some of our buildings we may well end up putting in some air source heat pumps to provide the base load for the heating of the building. But then in the winter months, in the really, really cold depths, the gas will fire to basically meet that peak load. And that is probably the most cost-effective way to do things at the moment, until prices of air source heat pumps and things like that come down. Because whilst a lot of people say they're new technology, they've been around in Scandinavia for 20 years, but we haven't necessarily got the scales and we haven't got the market maturity in the UK yet for to progress to bring those prices down a bit more. So I suppose that's where I'm sort of ended up at. There is a need to put some funding in to get some consultants in to do a decarbonisation report, and in sort of lieu of what we hope will be around 4 decarbonisation fund round. There's no guarantee of that, of course, but by getting that report, it'll at least give you a good roadmap on how you can go forward with the decarbonisation of the building. And it'll look at things like windows, it'll look at things like boilers, it'll look at things like electricity generation, lighting, LEDs and things like that. So it'll go through everything. We used a company that we found to be quite good. Alan's already had a conversation with that company. So yeah, that's where I leave it.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, our agenda says the council is to consider the report and decide what to do. And now we've heard that it's not a report, because it's to actually say yes, do we want to have a report done? And I think that possibly under the circumstances, and given the condition of the building and the boilers, we need to think seriously about it. Anyone got any questions for Steve?
Yes, what about the boilers downstairs? What cost would we give DCC for replacing some of them boilers? I believe we were told once when we took the building over, because we also need the one point over there, that we would get a third of DCC for replacing the boilers.
I don't know the ins and outs of everything. I am aware that there is that agreement whereby you supply the heat to the 1 point centre, and then that heat is calculated, and we pay you back for that heat. I know there's been a lot of history around that in the relationship and things like that. I'm happy to go back to managers and look at things like that, but I couldn't obviously say yes or no to to any costs. There is obviously a cost to the report. The cost that we were looking at was around about £3,000 per site.
And presumably the 1 point site will be included in as part of the building, or would it not? I suppose if we're heating it.
I think it would be something that the consultants would have to look at in terms of how that relationship, how that connection is there. They wouldn't go into then the 1 point hub and say, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. So the focus would totally be on this building. But how the connection happens and how, that would probably be part of this.
Any questions? Anyone? Scott? Yes, Carl?
I think just a couple of points from me. First of all, thanks for coming along and explaining the position, and thanks for all the work you do, because I know you guys are quite a small team and punch well above your weight across the county. There was a couple of points really. I didn't know if there was an opportunity to sort out the Siamese boiler situation with the leisure transformation project, so if you could feed that back. It seems like a sensible time to sort anything that might be a bit dirty over there out, while they've got teams of people on site investing all the money in the new leisure provision in Stanley. And the second point was, I'm just sort of paraphrasing back to you here, from what you're saying, effectively we get some consultants to look at the whole building, which would give us sort of some kind of feasibility report. And then I think what you're offering is for the county to work with us on trying to identify suitable funding beyond that. And I think that's probably a good place for us to be in as a council. So thanks for that offer. And my view as a town councillor is that we should be snapping the hands off.
Thank you. I would tend to agree with that. I don't know how anyone else thinks. So that's the position at the moment. And the idea is that we say to go ahead with, or not go ahead with, have the consultants in to look at it.
Could I make a comment as well? I'm probably preempting the decision from the workshop, but part of the key priority going forward was the review of this building. What's key for me from the information presented now is part of that review. Decarbonisation is a core element of that. So perhaps if members are agreeable that we try to build that decarbonisation element report within that review, that would make a lot more sense, so everything's come back together. Yeah.
Very sensible.
I'd also decide just to mention that the funding that is available from these grants can be really quite significant. So I know it depends, because for example at the leisure centre, because of the amount that's open all the time, that the fund, and you can put it in different measures, so it's not just about the heating, it's about things like the lighting. You can add in the lighting, but the heating's got to come first. But so the leisure centre, because used all the time, that's got a really good carbon saving potential. A building that is not necessarily open all the time may not have as good a carbon saving potential, so may not get as much funding. But that's one of the things that the consultants will look at, because that's the thing that it needs to be turned in. Look at this as a decarbonisation report to try and get that funding through public sector decarbonisation funding.
So there we go. If the more the building's used. Yesterday.
It was just to say that this building's actually open 66 hours a week. So I think that is a substantial amount of time to be open.
Yeah, and is that during the day or
all day and evening? You say there's a lot of evening events, so I think we would find that there is that potential there.
Just finally, I just to throw it out there, I mean, I'm happy to consider a Siamese air source heat pump over in the 1 point centre, and we'll pay you, I'll feel like. That's cheaper for us.
Shy Bane's getting out.
So can we have some sort of agreement that we go forward with the suggestion of having getting the review done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyone totally against it? No? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. It's very helpful.
Right, it's your turn now. So, we're now having the budget. The budget update, item 12 on the agenda.
Thanks, Madam Chair. For most members, you will have seen this in some format. This is probably now the third time. So the outcomes from the workshop went to Finance and General Purpose Committee. I think the opportunity was there from Finance was that members were unanimously clear that the priorities were there. So rather than wait to go through the process of Christmas and January, was presented to this council, so we're a little bit ahead of the game. So therefore, I'm happy to answer any questions. The information is as previously came from the workshop through the Finance and General Purpose Committee. I've put forward two proposals, or two resolutions. One is that the report of the priority budget recommendations that are outlined above be adopted for the revised 21-22 budget. I've also asked the Council to consider including some additional budget allocation. And what's interesting is there this evening is a potentially decarbonisation pot which is going to cost £3,000, £4,000, which possibly wasn't in the original thing. So it just shows that if we work right to the wire with this, we don't have a lot of room for manoeuvre. So my suggestion, speaking to the team, finance team, with members, would be to say, in addition to the standstill budget as outlined, my recommendation is the council increases its precept by £20,000. I could make it 9,863 and make it a round percentage, but for the purpose of the budget, I think 20,000 works out as 2.5036% as an increase. And from that 20,000 to be allocated across those headings, primarily staff resources, because we are feeling the pinch big time on that, but also to be ring-fenced and utilised within the budget towards the City Hall. That was the two principal reasons for that. If that would be the case, that would create a precept of, my memory, of £818,842, increase of 20,000. But I'm happy to answer any questions because obviously some members haven't been part of all the information.
Has anyone got any questions on the budget? Or on the proposed budget yet?
It's not a question, it's just a comment really, which is, you know, we had our budget workshop, which was really well received by all of us, and we got to the point where we had our priorities outlined, and we knew we only had a very, very small amount of money to play with in that process, and we have divvied it out, for want of a better word, to actually, you know, reflect that 60,000 with a very clear understanding that it really wasn't enough to cover what we wanted to do in the first place. And for me, this building, we really need to start putting some investment into it, into the fabric of it. You know, Alan's just outlined the programme that, you know, is really taken off here. How long will it be before the seats need to be renewed in the theatre? How long will it be before the roof falls in around our heads? Because, you know, it's already leaking all over. We've already heard about the decarbonisation programme. So I think we should be looking at an increase in the precept and keeping that increase, maybe it's in an earmarked reserve or something like that, to start saving up to put these things right. And if we don't, then, you know, what is going to happen to this building, basically. So I agree with what Stuart's proposing, or suggesting rather.
So if that's the proposal, and are you proposing it, Jeanette?
Yes,
that we
I am.
accept this as a thing. Can I have a seconder for that?
I'll second that.
You're going to second that, Paul? Yes. You've got
I just wanted to make a comment. I'd happily go along with the fact that, you know, that we'll put it into a thing, but I wouldn't. I'll be quite honest with you, and I will say this over and over again. Increases of 2.5%, you know, unless we're going to do and target something, then I don't think it's fair to ask the public for 2.5%. I don't.
Yeah, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could just make a comment. What I did is, again, with the workshop, I said, one of the things we need to be looking at is not the here and now. We're planning for really 3 to 5 years' time. And this budget it's basically a standstill budget. Yet we're dealing with more, we've got inflationary increases that's sitting 3.8, project outturn for the end of this quarter is 4%. RPI, that's retail price index, is running 6%. If we don't do anything, a lot of our standard costs are going to go by that amount. I think 2.5% or just over 2.5% in the current climate is a reasonable amount, and in the whole scheme of things, that isn't a lot. But what I want to show members is where the money is being allocated towards those priorities. I mean, for example, when we originally divvied out, that's a great term, 62,000. It wasn't that we put 2,000 towards carbon and climate change initiatives. We've just had a report there that says 3,000 will make a difference. So we wouldn't have money. So that money can be used again to really hit those priorities. And for members going forward, it's supposed to have a proper plan that says, as these priorities develop, you can see the progress and the information. Because the whole plan is that during the next year, this will give you the information that you can make real informed decisions, make your cuts, your savings, your allocations, take it forward the next 3 to 5 years. That's key.
Okay, thank you. Did somebody, Jeanette?
It was just to, you know, I hear what you say, Joan, you know, and I do understand, you know, where you're coming from. But I think we've had this question before, Anne, about how much it actually means in the pocket of the individual. Was it something like?
I've just did a rough calculation based on the number of properties on a 20,000 increase, which worked out about 10 pence a month per household.
Yeah.
It's an increase of 10 pence.
Yeah. So I think that sort of puts it into context, doesn't it?
It does.
Which is the point.
I know that 2.5% will sound quite a lot, but okay. Anyone? All of you got your hand up, or are you just leaning on it?
Just leaning on it.
Anyone else? Are we? Right. It's been proposed and seconded that we accept this interim budget.
Basically, if we agree the council's precept for 22-23 as a figure of 818,842, which is an increase of 20,000, which equates to 2.5. But we'll include that within a minute.
Yes.
I would like the finance officer to check out things. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So, can we agree that?
Yeah.
Anyone
Show of hands.
disagree? Is the easiest way. Have a show of hands. 4.
Okay, let's disagree.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Unanimous, I think. Yeah, I don't think anybody's
Right, thank you for that. Okay. Moving on to item 13 on the agenda, Christmas opening and closing. I think this is just for us to note. There's nothing unusual about the opening and closing times here, is there?
It's the same as
everywhere.
Christmas, the same every year. I mean, the pattern goes on, starts at 5 o'clock on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
We'll probably get finished then, and probably I'll wake up on New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Bless you.
How do you get control of everything?
It seems I would go with
The risk register, that you've had a copy of the risk register, the new updated risk register circulated. Which it's just to note, and if anyone has any comments on it. I know that some of the figures on it look quite frightening, but they're meant to, because that's how it works. And the proposal is that we go back to it and we revisit it in 6 months' time. That's all right with anyone else proposing that anyway. Can I have a seconder for that?
I'll second that order.
Okay, Joe can second that one, Alex.
Oh.
Okay. And show of hands on it, just do we need
disagree.
one?
Yeah.
No.
I disagree.
Okay. And we now get to the exclusion of press and public, if you wouldn't mind, Alan. and